Mr. Lloyd, please go ahead. 6 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My first question for the Mounted Shooters Association. Would you agree that not all handguns are the same?
That is correct. We use a single action handgun that is simple technology.
Use a semi-automatic handgun, is that correct?
No, we do not. We are a single action firearm where we have to pull the trigger back, and it is simple technology designed from the 1890s.
So would I be correct in saying that if an exemption was made so that C-21 only applied to semi-automatic handguns, that your sport would be allowed to continue, you would still be able to continue
Correct.
and thrive?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. My next question for Lieutenant Colonel Schneiderbanger. As a veteran, how important was it for you when you left the forces to be able to participate in sports shooting? I think you're muted, sir.
Sorry. It gave me an opportunity to remain connected with other veterans and current members of the armed forces, because many of them do partake in these sports. It's a great outdoor sport. It gave me ability to challenge myself physically and keep myself mentally fit as well. So I found it very important, and I took up the sport immediately upon retirement, actually, 12 years ago.
Do you think that denying veterans who will not be exempted under C-21 the ability to participate in this kind of sport shooting will have a negative impact on their well-being?
Yes, I do. They have skills that they can immediately use in a sport activity, which is healthy. It's a very safe sport, highly regulated. IPSC is an example. I'll speak to that. Highly regulated. And it keeps people and keeps the veterans actively fit and mentally fit.
Do you think that it makes any sense for legislation like C-21 where you can have a military member, a veteran, or a law enforcement member who is mandated to use a handgun for their job day to day, but under this legislation will not be allowed to purchase, own, or transfer a handgun personally?
Well, I have a hard time with that. Yes, I think it doesn't make much sense. I mean, if you can't rely on former veterans or former military members to be safe and responsible and law-abiding members, then I think we have a bigger problem.
Now, we know that handgun owners, as a condition of their license, must be a paying member of a certified firearms range. Has this requirement been critical to the sustainability of gun ranges in Canada?
Yes, I mean, the reason for the existence of most ranges is the fact that only handgun shooters can only shoot at the ranges. So the majority or vast membership of these ranges are handgun shooters, and therefore those sports disciplines who use handguns. And there are many, many sport disciplines: IDPA, International Defensive Pistol Association, 3-gun, cowboy action, mounted cowboy action, IPSC, just to name a few.
Yeah. Do you believe that this legislation then would lead to a mass closure of firearms ranges across this country?
I absolutely do foresee that, and it will have unintended consequences that law enforcement, that's Canada Border Services, conservation officers, police officers, will have to have their own their own ranges, which will be very costly for the municipalities.
So currently what you're saying is that, law enforcement across this country, like with a few exceptions, they need to use these private ranges in order to practice marksmanship so that they can be good upholders of public safety.
Absolutely. I see them here all the time at my local range. RCMP, Border Services, conservation officers, along with my own municipal police services are here. And I actually have given them a lot of shooting advice to many of those officers on our range.
Now, do these officers, when they're going to the range, are they required to get an authorization to transport when they're going to the range to shoot, or because it's part of their job, are they exempted from having to apply for that? Are you aware?
Yes, it depends on the firearm that they're using. If they're using their service firearm, they don't need an HET because according to the Act, it's not required. But if it's their personal handgun, they do need an HET. And they
They're
would, of course, have, if it was their personal handgun, I mean, they have to have gone through all the courses and so forth and applied for a PAL and a restricted PAL.
Thank you. Do you think that this legislation will have a negative impact on promoting a culture of responsible firearms ownership and safety in Canada?
Handgun ownership, these sports disciplines, the majority of them have national or world bodies, and they're regulated, highly regulated. IPSC, we have a National Range Safety Officer Institute, which is recognized by the National Institute of Range Association, which they stipulate all the requirements of safety worldwide. Oops, something happened?
No, we're good. You have 10 seconds left. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lloyd.